In the Gospel of today's Mass, we just read, we are worthless servants. It was our duty to do what we have done. And today, in this time of prayer, we ask our Lord to help us to meditate on these words so they can help us in our spiritual life.
My Lord and my God, I firmly believe that you are here, that you see me, that you hear me. I adore you with profound reverence. I beg your pardon for my sins and the grace to spend this time of prayer fruitfully. My Immaculate Mother, Saint Joseph, my Father and Lord, my guardian angel, intercede for me.
In the Gospel of today's Mass, we read, "But which of you, having a servant plowing or feeding cattle, will say to him when he is come from the field, immediately go, sit down to table, and will not rather say to him, make ready my supper, and gird thyself and serve me, while I eat and drink, and afterwards thou shalt eat and drink? Does he thank that servant for doing the things which he commanded him? I do not think it of him, and you in the same way. When you have done all that was commanded, you are to say, we are servants and worthless. It was your duty to do what we have done." From this passage of the Gospel, we can draw various teachings for various areas, different areas of our spiritual life and our relationship with Christ. One of these teachings is an invitation to work without thinking that we have done too much. To work in our professional life, as service, or at home, or any kind of occupation, and also for our apostolate. In previous meditations, I already mentioned many things, many ideas from the teachings of Saint Josemaria about work, about working, and sanctification of work. And I do not want to repeat all these ideas. Instead, I would like just to tell some simple anecdotes from his life, from the life of Saint Josemaria, that help us to grasp the meaning behind these teachings. The headquarters of Opus Dei are in Rome, and there is an oratory for the General Council, the group of people that govern the work. And when the oratory was being built, they decided to use a design of many pieces of marble, made of many pieces, small pieces of marble, some geometrical pattern we might imagine. And then they made a budget and agreed on the quality of the work with those who would do this work with marble. But the worker, in a place in which they had to use one bigger piece, he used that many smaller pieces to make it probably simpler to do or cheaper. But then when Saint Josemaria, when they finished and Saint Josemaria saw it, he said, this cannot be because we approved the budget. And then Saint Josemaria thought that they had to give the best to God. And even if it was something apparently small, that the work was not really well done, he made the worker change it and finish it according to the plan. And this is the way it is now. And this simple example helps us to see that when we offer our work to God, when we offer what we do to Him, we have an extra reason to do it well. In the small parable of the Gospel that we just read, the servant helps the master, and he is expected to do it well, not carelessly or half-heartedly. In our case, we are not just servants, but we are children of God, and we want to offer the best to Him. So when we are working, when we are finishing our tasks, it is good to remember these words from Saint Josemaria: do everything for love. Thus, there will be no little things, everything will be big. Perseverance in little things for love is heroism. There's another anecdote, a small event from the life of Saint Josemaria, something that happened precisely in the way in which he died, the way in which he passed away. On that day, in the morning, he went to another center of Opus Dei outside of Rome to visit his daughters, his spiritual daughters there, to talk to them. And then when he arrived there, he was not feeling well. He was not feeling physically well. He was feeling very sick. And soon he went back home. But after a while, when he went back home, when he arrived, instead of saying, I will rest a bit, he rushed. He went back to his workplace to continue working. And as soon as he entered into that office, he collapsed in the floor and he died there, just entering into his workplace. So we see this is a very small event, but when we think about our own life, isn't it true that sometimes we easily give up instead of continue working or finishing our duties because we feel tired or sad or annoyed or bored? Well, the normal thing is that when we are working, we feel that tiredness or that lack of motivation, but still decide to continue working, adding a bit of love of God into our intention. And then we say, just like the passage of the Gospel that we just read, we are worthless servants. It was our duty to do what we have done. And this applies also when we go back home in the afternoon or the evening and have also to help there with the many things of the house or the needs of others. To continue working even if we feel a bit tired. And Saint Josemaria talks about perseverance in work. He writes, persevere in the exact fulfillment of the obligations of the moment. That work, humble, monotonous, small, is prayer expressed in action. That prepares you to receive the grace of the other work, great and wide and deep, on which you dream. And we pray, Lord, help me not to give up so easily in serving you and others. There's another story about Saint Josemaria. During the 1950s, he spent a lot of time building the headquarters of Opus Dei in Rome. The same period of the first anecdote I just told now. This place, a big house for many people to work and study. And when they were finishing the house, it's more like a complex with many small houses, they were finishing step by step, like one place and another place, 1 year after another. And the time arrived to finish an oratory, a chapel. This is not a very big chapel indeed. But when they finished that oratory, the last thing to prepare was the tabernacle. It is a special kind of tabernacle with the shape of a dove hanging on top of the altar. It's a kind of tabernacle apparently more common in Eastern churches. So when this small tabernacle called Eucharistic Dove arrived, the one in charge of the works said, "Great, we can put it tomorrow." But Saint Josemaria replied, "Why not today?" And so he did like that. He prepared a place and he put it in its place in the oratory on top of the altar. And when it was finished, some of the priests there said, "Good, tomorrow we can place the Blessed Sacrament, the Eucharist, in that oratory." But Saint Josemaria replied, "But why not today?" And so they did it. And from this small story, from this small event, we are reminded of a simple, small idea that Saint Josemaria describes in the way: don't put off your work until tomorrow. And that mirrors the passage of the Gospel, that small parable from the Gospel that we just read, in which the master tells the servant to set to work first and to leave other things for another moment. And we can think, why do we leave our work for tomorrow? Why do we procrastinate? Cras or crastinum means tomorrow. So to procrastinate means to delay our work or our task for tomorrow or for later. So why do we procrastinate? Why do we leave things for a later moment? Perhaps sometimes because we hesitate, or out of laziness, or lack of fortitude, or lack of focus, or because we don't give enough importance to work. Whatever the reason might be, so often we have to be reminded, don't put off your work until tomorrow. We are serving God. There's another small story. In this case, it was narrated by someone who worked for some years together with Saint Josemaria. Because of his work, he had to enter many times to the place, to the office when Saint Josemaria was working. This was still in the 1940s. And this person recalls that every time he entered into the office, Saint Josemaria always received him as if talking to him was the most important thing to do, giving him time and attention without showing impatience or hurrying, even if he had many things to do, with a smile, with complete attention, not just pretending to listen and then doing something else at the same time. And then, as soon as they finished talking, Saint Josemaria would go back to work immediately, as if he had not been interrupted. So what do we see here? That for him, work, intense work, was not excuse not to live charity. In fact, he coined the term professionalitis, which is like an inflammation of our self-importance, giving ourselves too much importance with the excuse of work. Isn't it true that in our case, we easily say, I cannot help you because I am too busy. I don't have time. I don't have attention for you because I have many things to do. And so we transform this I am very busy that we repeat many times into an excuse to ignore others, or to feel annoyed when we are interrupted by colleagues, or at home by our husband or wife, or by our children, or by our friends. And so in this time of prayer, we ask God the help to learn to work with order and intensity, and at the same time to live always at the service of others. Then I have the last short story from Saint Josemaria today. This is even earlier period of time, in the 1930s. For some years, Saint Josemaria lived in a city that has a beautiful, huge Gothic cathedral with a lot of decoration in rock. So many people visit that church at that time, and now it's the same, and they can appreciate the wonderful work of art and all the details of the facade or the interior of the church. But Saint Josemaria would bring people, or at that time young students, to the tower of the cathedral to see from above all the details, all the decoration that is difficult to see because it's far from the street, far from the entrance, or it's very, very high. So hardly anyone sees that, but only God. And he would explain to them that our work has to be like that. Often we have to finish our work well, and only God will know about it. And since only God will see it, and we will offer a work to Him, we will not have the praise or receive the admiration from other people that might bring the temptation of vanity. It's work only done for God. So we will not feel vanity or a pride that separates us from God, but we'll just repeat these words from the gospel. We are worthless servants. It was our duty to do what we have done. At the end of this short time of prayer, we go with our imagination to the house of Nazareth, the house of Mary and Joseph and Jesus. And so we imagine those many moments in which Mary or Joseph and also our Lord worked with intensity, even if they were tired or even if it was difficult to continue, and they lived and worked and all these things for the glory of God.
I thank you, my Lord, for the good resolutions, affections, and inspirations that you have communicated to me in this meditation. I beg your help in performing them. My Immaculate Mother, Saint Joseph, my Father and Lord, my guardian angel, intercede for me.